Welcome to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. This is where you're going to discover how to bring awakening into the body and into everyday life through powerful tantric teachings. Get ready to release, open, and step into your true power.
I remember when I was first sitting in one of your workshops and heard about this tantric lovemaking, and I just thought sex was always just a bit normal, a bit same. And when I first heard this, it was so mind blowing. It was like, is that possible for me though? Like, isn't there something wrong with me if I'm not already having all these orgasms and I don't really enjoy sex that much? And yeah, I've had sessions with you for years and years, and now I can say that it's been one of the most life-changing parts of working with Tantra is definitely sexuality and the emotional body. And likewise, it's just, my prayer is that every human eventually on this planet gets to experience that, because it's one of the most sacred experiences that I've had in my life, is merging that deeply someone where there is the animal and there is heart, but there's spirit present as well. And it just becomes this beautiful merging with oneness, with God, with spirit, with whatever name you put to that. And there's a reason that it's so suppressed on the planet, and that the education system is so completely fucked up. And so I'm so grateful that Tantra is now reaching the Western world and starting to get global reach, where people can access their birthright, which is to pleasure and which is to beautiful tantric lovemaking with a beloved. And one of my favorite things when working with couples on couple sessions is, they're doing their homework and they're doing their practices together and they're having scheduled love appointments. And then the first message comes through of like, oh my God, we get it. And it just opens the scope of their relationship so much to not just be this thing that they should do that kind of feels good, but it's a paradigm shift into a deep experience and merging together that expands the relationship in so many ways in and out of the bedroom. So yeah, and I think the second part is the emotional body. I look back at all of the self-help work I've done, psychology, and it really didn't touch the depth of healing that needed to, within myself, to work with my depression, to work with chronic pain, and to work with addiction the way that Tantra has. So I'd love for you to share some around that of the emotional body, because I just see that there's this global epidemic, which is this disconnect from the emotional body and not knowing what to do with it. And I would say 70% of people who I know who aren't in the conscious community are having to take, some type of medication to deal with that, because they're not given the tools of how to work with the emotions that, when listened to, are such a gift.
So let's just move the body in a way that feels good for a moment. Whatever feels good for you. Just let yourself feel some pleasure. Thank you for all that, Tara. As always, beautiful to witness your journey of becoming ecstatic and coming to me and like, oh my God. Sharing all of your experience and then later your client experiences. It's been beautiful. So it's always funny when people want to have better sex and they think that they can have that without addressing the emotional body. It's because so much of why people don't enjoy sex is because they have so much stagnant emotional energy, right? So there's a lot of symptoms to repressing our emotional body, to holding on to it, constricting it, shoving it down, and then either bypassing with spirituality or bypassing with the mind and analyzing everything and therapizing everything, or distracting with the sea of addictions that are available to us. And, you know, one of my purposes on this planet, and each of your purposes, if you do go ahead and do the training and you're a part of Tantra, is to really support individuals to understand that the beauty of their being is not in their perfect face. And it's just gone absolutely crazy. Like, if you think about it, when we were younger, we were just comparing ourselves to people we were hanging out with, right? And comparing ourselves to ourselves and like very critical. We're all very critical. And we're looking in the mirror, oh, look at the. But now, with all the filters and the photoshopping and AI generated images, it's just gone absolutely berserk. And so part of where we want to switch people's allegiance is from the mind to the body, and also from all of these constructs that we have of beauty to supporting ourselves and others to realize that beauty literally does come from the inside out. And a lot of the emotional clearing practices are in Tantra actually opening the body to more pleasure, because we are love. And when we're making love, when we're sitting to do our practice and loving ourselves enough to actually check out what's going on inside, when different situations come up and we bring love to ourselves, then anything that's not love gets pushed out. And that's part of where sexual energy is a healing modality, because all of this energy is moving, releasing what isn't love. And then there are other practices in Tantra that are in our training: womb healing, tantric massage, self-pleasure practices, orbiting energy through your body. There's a richness to actually going to the body where emotional energy is stagnant, where trauma actually lives, and going, let's breathe it up and through and out, right? So if you think about plant medicine and the purge of anything that isn't love, is everyone familiar with plant medicine? Can you put your hand up? You've either been in it or heard about it. It takes you into the underworld. It takes you into your unconscious, takes you into spaces of remembering the love that you are, and then you're purging anything that's not that, right? Now, Tantra has that same medicine. And again, the amount of times I've heard, I felt like I was in ayahuasca after a session with me. Hundreds of people have said that to me. I've seen thousands of clients. I've been doing this work for over a decade. And before that, I was coaching in the personal development world. And I can tell you right now, when I was coming from a much more therapeutic coaching background, and I wasn't touching bodies, I wasn't supporting them to touch, I wasn't working with this huge conflict in relationships that is based around sexual unfulfillment and an inability to just be with the emotional body and take responsibility for that. It's I can't even imagine working with people without working with tantric practice. It just opened up a whole new world for me to see, wow, we are so far removed from doing what is natural. So, when a child is jumping in puddles, chasing butterflies, jumping into the ocean, what if that aliveness could be likened to an ecstatic or orgasmic existence? That if we weren't conditioned otherwise, we would naturally be in that aliveness. And what does that mean? That means when a child feels sad, they cry and they cuddle me. I've got a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old, and I also mother lots of my friends' little children. Children are, my kids are my best teachers. And children are still my best teachers because they are so fucking in the moment. They get angry, they throw a tantrum, or they throw something, They're frustrated. They don't just sit here and then bury it all down, get on their phones, go into their minds analyzing it. Oh, this happened from this childhood wound. And, of course, mental understanding of different things that are going on inside you can be supportive, but it's not it. It's not it. Pleasure doesn't live in the mind. Aliveness doesn't live in the mind. Nothing lives in the mind other than data that's usually in the past and the future. I'm not talking about consciousness. I'm talking about that mental chatter. So all of the practices in our training are shifting your navigational focus and allegiance and your clients from mental chatter to can we be here now so that we can actually have a good time. I can honestly say that my life is completely aligned with spirit, my truth, love, and freedom. I'm in the relationship of my dreams. I have the most incredible relationship with my kids. I'm living in a beautiful home. I'm traveling around the world. I'm living my Dharma. And it's not because I'm any different to most people who aren't living the life. When I go to manifest now, there's nothing to manifest. I'm here. And the only difference is that I know I'm fucking worth it. And I've done with myself what I do with clients, which is to go, all of your insecurities, all of the baggage, all of the beliefs, everything that you're taking into your relationship and into the bedroom that's coded in shame, that stops you from having the most incredible experience of bliss where you don't feel sex and spirituality and samadhi is separate, where you don't feel that you're separate from your partner, where everything is a gateway into liberation, where life is your greatest teacher. And actually, you are not moving away from anything and you are not attaching to anything having to be a certain way. So meditation is at the core of discharging the emotional body, of having great sex, of creating an amazing life for yourself. Because without meditation, which just means being with your direct experience, you're going to be somewhere else, in and out of the bedroom. Can we be here now? Can we be here now? Everyone breathe into your body. Feel whatever's alive now. Feel whatever's here. And then bring even more softness to it. Yeah. It's like bring a softness to it. And just tell yourself what I told you at the beginning. Just give yourself a hug. Just say, you know what? You are lovable just as you are. You are beautiful and you are safe. Opening the eyes. There are practices in Tantra that are designed, of course, to give you support with all of that, because often it's easy to talk about, okay, be in the moment, be fully alive. When your emotions come up, breathe deeply into them. Don't move away from them. Move with those emotions. Give them sound, and breath, sound, and movement is equivalent to plant medicine. It does the same thing. As soon as you start breathing, sounding, and moving with whatever your experience is, you release whatever isn't love, because you're bringing enough love to yourself that you're being real with what's here, right? And people think of meditation as silent meditation, where you're just sitting there, because traditionally it has been in that masculine style, which is beautiful. But there's also a more somatic or feminine style of meditation, where actually we're bringing meditation into the bedroom. We're bringing meditation to our emotional body. We're bringing meditation to our communication. And that means that our masculine awareness is coming into relationship with our emotional body without judgment, and we're creating safety to discharge all that friggin' tension and blockages from our pleasure. Yeah? Because without removing all these blockages, without removing stagnant energy, you and your client are not going to be able to feel all the pleasure that's available to us as humans. Who wants to feel more pleasure in their life? Who wants to feel more aliveness? Who wants to feel more connected to tribe, to your partner in deep, real ways where all of this external stuff doesn't take over, and money and goals? You know what? I'd rather fucking live out of my camper van with nothing than sell my soul at any stage in my life. I'm committed to this path. I'm in service to love and truth. It is my greatest joy. It is so natural to me. I would do it if I wasn't getting paid for it. I would just be doing it as I'm sharing with people. And they're the kind of practitioners I want. The practitioners that were born for this, the practitioners who know in their heart that they were born to be in service to something greater than stressing about the goals that we need to fucking achieve, and some idea of what we need to be, and some proverbial ladder that we're climbing, or money goal that we're achieving. And I love money. I welcome money. And the ironic thing is that when I gave it all up and when I left the corporate world and I dedicated my life to Tantra because I wanted the change I'd experienced to ripple out to as many humans as possible, and I saw finally the missing piece to all the other modalities that I've learned, I'm going for it. I'm dedicating to this. And now I happen to draw in a lot of abundance from that. And I think when you are aligned with spirit and joy and truth and service and what you're meant to be doing here, that is absolutely 100% possible. So again, I could keep talking about the emotional body forever. If you're going to take something from that that's not the deep dive into our training, and you want just one simple practice of supporting your emotional body, choose something you love doing, whether it's like some movement you love, like maybe you like shaking, maybe you like circling the hips, maybe you love dancing, and maybe you love yoga, meditation, whatever you're doing. Bring a deeper breath and awareness of your emotional body into that. And as you're moving with any of those practices, feel deeply while you're doing it and discharge trapped adrenaline, trapped emotions out of the body, and let yourself feel. And when you make love, do the same. Don't get genital focus, spread it through the body. Don't get mind focused. Don't let these things distract you. Here we are with the opportunity to feel totally present, totally alive, and no longer controlling our experience based on a false sense of security. Take it. Take that opportunity. All right, Tara.
Thank you. So yeah, this aspect of the emotional body, I feel incredibly passionate about, because it just, in all of my soul searching, no one said, you just get to feel sad, or you just get to feel angry right now, or it's fair enough that you're feeling fear. And I think that's been the biggest shift in my life with Tantra is, and the students that I work with, it's like we really just get to be ourselves. And when we create the space for that, then it's the most self-loving act we can do. It's like if you had a best friend or a child who was sad, who was scared, who was distressed, who was angry, you wouldn't say to them, "Oh, don't feel that." Right? If you're a conscious human being. And so, but we don't do that with our friends. We hold them, we support them, and yet we don't do that for ourselves. And that shift of really allowing the emotional body to be felt and seen, it's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong relationship with ourselves. And often, when I go through the various ups and downs of life, and if there's a big expansion happening in me, I just think, my God, what would I do without these practices of Tantra that doesn't just put a Band-Aid over it to feel a little bit better for a while, but actually gets to the core of the issue that is sitting deeper beneath the emotional body in the unconscious, that we can take ourselves there too if we're just breathing, sounding, and moving. And it sounds so simple, and it is, and yet it's so deep in the layers of the unconscious and of our past trauma that it's able to clear. So for me, this is like revolutionary for the world. And, I really hope one day that this curriculum that as practitioners we're learning and experiencing in our own lives actually can be shared in childhood, in the education system, for humans just to learn how to be human. That's what I love about Tantra, how to do human well. And, the final topic that we're going to speak about today is, it's like, okay, so we've come from a very different paradigm that we think our way through things and we analyze things and we kind of avoid feeling the painful stuff. So how do we shift that? Now we have this new information about the emotional body. Or how do we shift that now we're feeling even more inspired to just hold those parts of ourselves? And so I'd love for you to speak into a daily practice. It is the one thing I have committed to in my life out of everything that I've committed to that has changed my life the most. So listen carefully.
So first I want to say that I want to remind you all that the sexual body and the emotional body are not separate, right? So a lot of the time when people are connecting with the emotional body, it is separate. But what I love is having someone on the table and I've got my hand under their heart and maybe on their womb. And sexual energy is also present. And that mud underneath the lotus is everything that is under the surface, the roots of the beauty. So when we're permitting ourselves to feel sexual energy and emotional energy, some alchemical process happens where we're releasing what doesn't serve and inviting pleasure. So what I love about supporting people in a daily practice and my own daily practice, which actually just feels like life now, is to let pleasure and pain coexist, is to let sexual energy support the emotional body. And, when I say sexual energy, so many people
Thanks for listening to the
associate
Love,
that
Sex
with
and Freedom
penetration.
podcast.
I'm not talking about
For
that.
more
I mean,
great
it can
free
include that,
resources,
but that's not what I'm
in-person and
talking about
online
here.
workshops,
I'm
and
talking
our
about
retreats.
sexual
Find us on
energy
Instagram and
as
Facebook
as the
Embodied
kundalini
Awakening
fluidity
Academy.
of the serpent that's coiled at the base of your spine and unwheeling. And my favorite daily practice is just to come home to myself by first, as soon as I wake up. So if you want to switch your allegiance from the mind to the body, you also have to switch your entrainment from information input to the mystery. What does that mean? We are bombarded. When we're at school, we are bombarded with podcasts, social media, we're bombarded. Who are you? Who are you? This is the time of who am I? Which is the question at the core of all spirituality. Who am I? Who am I? What's here now? The two most important questions you can ask yourself in your daily practice. And because I'm a Tantra teacher, I'm not going to say to you, you need to do a daily practice that looks like this, because Tantra is so inclusive. It can be chakra alignment, it can be yoga, it can be dance, all those things I mentioned earlier. What I find as a premise for the daily practice is an intention to, before doing anything else in the morning, you're laying down, you bring some touch to your body. We need touch. We don't need more information. We start breathing and feeling our connection to the earth. We don't need more separation through the box of our phone, the box of information, the box of our car, the box of every fucking thing that you can think of, the office, the things that we utilize. We're just not living in naturalness anymore. So let's connect to nature first thing in the morning. Let's feel our connection to the earth. And then just check out what's happening. Breathe. Feel more and think less. Start as you mean to go. And then follow the natural impulses of your body, however they want to move, whether that's yoga, dance, shaking, and give it sound. And just start the day with aliveness and intentionally connect with your pleasure with that. Circling. You know how many times in my life, I've got tears streaming down my face while my hips are moving, or I'm roaring while my hips are moving. And actually, pleasure and pain become the same thing, and I'm ecstatic in it. Because with Tantra, you're actually literally going into the duality of all experience, seeing it all as divine, not denying any of it, and then merging that into a felt sense of oneness so that you can be who you are. Now, there's certain practices in the training that are really going to help you and your clients with that. So what emerges from that naturalness and what has emerged from my naturalness are the practices that are in here. Some are uniquely mine. Some are a synthesis of different practices I've learned. I don't know how much you all know about me, but I'm educated to the hilt. So if you do the training, you're in educated hands. I've got a law degree. I've got honors in philosophy. I've got a certificate too in anthroposophy. I've studied somatic experiencing, trauma therapy, EFT, NLP, and Tantra was kind of the last place I went to. And often people will say something to me as though they're seeing the body as where you start the awakening. No, 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 no. You might think that. But actually, when you are at, for me, that final place of like, all right, no more fucking around. I'm not going to just keep living my life trying to be a better person and trying to learn however much I can to navigate the human experience. I'm actually going to just start living. That's what Tantra gives you, right? I'm actually going to be here in the full aliveness of my soul. And then from that place, there are communication practices that are really helpful. There are bodywork practices. I mean, tantric massage and self-pleasure and witnessing someone's self-pleasure and engaging that in yourself, because at the end of the day, healthy sexuality is connected to our relationship to our sexuality. How many people actually are in that vibe? How many relationships are just, they get to the place of boring and no one's having sex or being really vulnerable and real and raw with each other anymore because the curiosity is gone, because we're not curious enough. So something that weaves throughout the whole training is let's get curious about what's deeper. Let's get curious about what happens when we connect with ourselves and our clients with a loving presence that has no agenda, but that is here for it all, to touch it, to love on it, to ignite it, to witness it, and to see a client unfurl and blossom into wholeness, finally realizing that they're not separate to anything and actually they are lovable in all of it and beautiful in all of it. And then teaching them how to make requests, how to set boundaries, how to ask for what they desire, teaching them how to look at their shadows, how to feel their own inner family of mum, dad, and child, all of these things that the practitioner dives into is connecting with areas of the human body, human relationship, and sexuality that are usually kept behind closed doors. And when you open those doors, it is a gateway into more pleasure, liberation, authenticity, and truth than you've ever experienced, I dare say, and your clients have ever experienced if you really let yourself dive in. So I hope to see some of you there. Anyone who feels called into the training, I'm going to hand it over to Erin now. There's lots of free resources. If you want to keep going into this, we've got a podcast, we've got blogs, we've got a free 7-day journey. So, if you're not quite ready to be a practitioner, but you're ready to do more than dip your toes in and go for a swim, then there's resource for that. And then if you're ready to not only swim, but actually take others with you and be a leader in that, not only are you swimming in the waves with that focus on where you're going, but you also have all these people behind you, right? who you're setting an example for and who you're able to hold. And all of a sudden, there's a movement that you're a part of that I've created. And I'm so grateful to all of you for considering being part of that movement, and would like to welcome anyone into that movement who feels called. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. For more great free resources, in-person and online workshops, and our retreats, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Embodied Awakening Academy, or visit embodiedawakeningacademy.com.